welcome to the 2024 Riverside High School Hall of Fame Dinner and Induction Ceremony. Tonight we gather as one community united in our purpose to celebrate the exceptional accomplishments of individuals who have made a lasting impact on our school and our community. As Superintendent of the Riverside Local School District, it is my distinct honor to welcome you to this prestigious event. This evening is not only a reflection on the past, but also a celebration of the legacy and values that continue to shape Riverside High School, its graduates, and the district as a whole. Although penned after most of tonight's inductees walk the halls of Ivy, our district vision, one community, pursuing greatness, getting better every day, is alive in the stories of those we honor tonight. The individuals we recognize here have not only excelled as a person, professional, mentor, or athlete, but have also inspired others to continue to pursue greatness and get better every day. Their contributions, leadership, and unwavering dedication have left an indelible mark on Riverside, shaping the lives of many both near and far. They truly represent what it means to live out the vision of our district. To the inductees, congratulations on this remarkable honor. Your work, your hard work, determination, and passion have not only brought you personal success, but have also become a source of pride for the district. You embody the spirit of our community, continually striving for excellence and inspiring others to follow in your footsteps. Tonight, as we honor the past, we also look to the future. These inductees, now members of the Riverside High School Hall of Fame, will serve as role models for our current and future students and staff. Their stories remind us all that with a shared vision and commitment to growth and dedication to excellence, anything is possible. Once again, welcome to this special occasion. Let us celebrate the achievements of tonight's deserving inductees and let their stories inspire us to unite as one community, pursuing greatness, getting better every day. Thank you and enjoy this evening's celebration.
We are going to introduce our first inductee, which is Anna Day. Anna is an entrepreneur and a tremendous benefactor. If you've read, if you haven't read, you should read what all the things she's done. And it's really a pleasure to have her here, and it's a pleasure to have her stay in the community.
I received very specific instructions on how to do that, and hopefully I did it right, left hand, right hand. I was very disprepared. I ran it through my head, so thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate being up here tonight. It was funny, my older sister texted me when I sent a group text to my family and said that I had received this honor. And she's like, oh, who else is being nominated? And at the time I didn't know. So I was like, oh, I'm not sure. And then maybe a week later, they came out on social media who the other people were. And as a family, in our family text, we saw that Mr. Montonini, Tony Montonini, had been nominated, and we laughed and said, Jocelyn, now are you interested in coming to the event? Because my older sister absolutely loved Mr. Montonini. We were just discussing how hard it is to remember all the students you have, but I think it is worth sharing with my fellow nominee tonight how impactful he was on my sister's life. And she's in Disney right now with her boys, or else she would be here. And if we were betting people, we would say it would be to support her beloved teacher, Mr. Montonini. Me, like a little bit on the side. Like, good job, you did great, you're doing great. And with that energy, I also wanted to take a second because it is cool how Lake County is a small community. And when I saw the list of nominees, being familiar with almost all of them was pretty cool. So another person nominated, Mr. McKenrick. While I didn't have the honor of being one of his athletes or students, I'm so familiar with his family. I played basketball with Katie. And then most recently, 2 weekends ago, I hosted a charity event called the 24 and 24. It is my pride and joy. I founded it 10 years ago. Thank you for... I started it 10 years ago. I'm very proud of it being my brainchild because I'm not a very creative person, so it was my one strike of genius. And it has since raised over $2.6 million for children battling life-threatening illnesses in Northeast Ohio. Super cool. But just going back to the sentiment of what a small Lake County community we have, 2 weeks ago I had the honor of having Wish Mom Morgan McKenrick to me, but now Morgan Smuck, come not only support the event as a wish mom, but actually run the event. And for those who aren't familiar, you run 1 mile on the hour, every hour for a full calendar day. So you run a mile at noon, at 1 p.m., at 2 p.m., and you do it for a full calendar day to raise money for these children and these families. And Morgan was doing it for the other children and families that have been through what she has been through. And she was one of our VIP top fundraisers, and she did an incredible job. So Morgan, give me a little wave up here. Come on. Let's make this about Morgan, not her dad. Truly, I share that sentiment because obviously the gene pool has continued the greatness on with Mr. McKenrick's younger generation, and I heard so many wonderful things about Mr. McKenrick. I got a text message from Janice Mackey, and she said, Anna, congratulations, but I gotta tell you, Pat McKenrick is one of our favorite people in the world. He is so amazing, he's lovely, we're so sad we can't be there for Pat. And I'm like, thank you. So anyways, and then of course, I saw the name Allie Tobias, and it was interesting because I noticed that, Allie was nominated as an athlete and me as an alumni, which was odd because Allie and I played basketball together our whole careers. And, she averaged like triple doubles every game and like 35 points, and I averaged like 6 points a game and played about 7 minutes. So I thought it may have been a typo. Turns out it was their choice and I have to respect it. So not only is Allie an incredible athlete, but I could not love you more, Allie. I think back on high school and growing up, and Allie Tobias was a once-in-a-lifetime athlete, for those of you who didn't get a chance to watch her play. But she was really very special in the way that she interacted with her peers. And I remember it so clearly that there was a lot of, if you're very talented, you get the ability to be a little bit, you kind of can hold that over your peers. And Allie was the opposite. She was so open, so welcoming. And now hearing how successful she's been and that she's a PA down in Florida, it all checks out, it all makes sense. She's absolutely lovely. So I'm honored to be here in the same class as you, Miss Allie. And then one person I don't know, Laurie, I can't wait to hear more about you. Hi, Laurie. But I just thought it was so cool that, so many of the names were familiar to me in this community in really exceptional ways. So honored to be up here. It's funny, if you were to go back to the good old early 2000s and tell my parents that one of their 3 daughters was selected as a Riverside alumni, they may not have picked me. My older sister was salutatorian of her class, full ride academic scholarship to Ohio State University, went on and now is an incredible physician, married to another incredible doctor, and she was recruited heavily out of Nationwide Children's Hospital. In fact, they said, we will create a position for your husband if you will come here. So girl power, she's, he might be a doctor, but she's the one they wanted. So she's incredible. They may have put their money on her. They may have put their money on my twin sister, also incredibly talented academically, free tuition academic scholarship to college. And then she's very brilliant, she's gotten her bachelor's degree, gone on for further education, came back to the Painesville Township School District. Some of you may have had the opportunity to work with her, alongside her, and then she's been down in the Worcester District for 14 years. But instead, I'm up here, and when I asked my mom any memories she had about me in high school, she said, I remember that when I would get messages on my answering machine, it would be like, your daughter has been late to class. And she's like, and I never wondered which daughter it was. So, we all have a comeback story. So anyways, I'm glad I was the one. I'm gonna rub it in my sister's faces for a while, that I'm the one up here tonight. It is an honor. And I mean that genuinely. I've always really felt like I'm a Beaver. I've really been loyal to the Riverside District, to the Black and Gold. I had a great college experience, but I don't really have those feelings, those emotions and ties to my university the way I do to Riverside. Probably why I ended up back here. But I started trying to dig into why that might be. And follow me for a second. My husband Michael and I went to a conference for one of our franchises a few weeks ago. And there was a professional speaker there. And he told this story about a guy, it's a true story apparently, and this guy inaccurately in high school received an SAT score, and it was not correct, and it was extremely high. And he couldn't believe he'd scored this high. He and his family had grown up thinking he was very mediocre academically. He was inspired by this. He got into an incredible university as a result of this inaccurate score. And he ended up stepping up to the plate in college. He was wildly successful. He went on to be this incredible businessman. So it was kind of a case study, if you will. Then later on in his life, after he had been wildly successful, he, in some capacity, I can't recall how, found out from a board of some sort that, I'm so sorry, this was inaccurate. We have come to find that you did not score that, you scored this. And it was this very like mediocre number SAT score. And this speaker spoke to the fact that this man was like, oh my gosh, if I had thought I was mediocre, I would have never pursued greatness in my collegiate career and in my corporate career, and I wouldn't be this incredibly successful multimillionaire, you know, in my life. And so I was thinking about my story, and for those who don't know, I built 10 brick and mortar franchise businesses by the age of 35. I had my charity event that's been wildly successful. I'm very proud of it, and you know, I've been really successful, and I've had top performing units in my franchise systems, and it's kind of just been my whole thing. I don't have a lot else going on, and I think like, man, I've been very successful, and I went back to the way I feel about Riverside High School, and I thought about that story. And I was no Allie Tobias, unfortunately. I also wasn't the best singer or the best drama, you know, thespian? Yep, that's it, thespian. You know, quite honestly, I was a jack of many trades, but a master of none. However, my parents, Martha and Vaughn, would have told me otherwise, meaning my entire life, they told me I was incredibly important. I think to when I was in school, and I think about the game when Allie probably had 35 points and I had 6, my dad would take me to the table, he'd be like, all right, here's what we gotta work on. He's like, we always joke, he said the same thing every time. If you're dribbling, you gotta go somewhere. Why are you just dribbling up there? You gotta go somewhere. But it's funny, I knew every play of the game, every second I was out there, I knew my parents were watching. And I knew I was important as a result. What I do is important out there. If I had a basket, I'd be like, I know I'm big, I know I'm important. And I'm now, as an adult, able to look back at that. I sang in a band, I sang in the choir, and my parents were at every single thing I did. If it was a cross-country meet, they'd be jogging to see me at mile 1 and see me at mile 2. And if they didn't see me at mile 2, I might be a little hard on them, like, didn't see you at mile 2, could have used a little boost. God, great parents. And I have a few other memories. Like I remember I also was a very hard worker in high school. I had multiple jobs. I recently saw my old pay stubs, and I was making $5 an hour, and I said I worked 46 hours in my summers when I was 15. I was a little bit of a workaholic back then, and I remember that I had a basketball tournament in Strongsville. We had a game, and then we had a big break and another game, and all the other girls on the team in between were like going to lunch and being regular, and I was like, I gotta hit my shift at American Eagle at the Mentor Mall. And my dad's like, you're not hitting that shift. I'm not driving from Strongsville to Mentor for 2 hours to then go. And I'm like, no, they need me. We gotta go. So my dad drove me to Strongsville, played a basketball game. He drove me to American Eagle, where he just sat in the Great Lakes Mall because I had to make that shift. And then he drove me back down to Strongsville for the game. And but to me, at that age, not really knowing better, that was the expectation. My parents are gonna be there. I can do what I need to do. I'll make my $5 an hour. It's gonna cost my dad 4 times that in gas, but it's not important. What's important is that I'm important, and I'm gonna be, and so when I think about it now as an adult through that lens, what I realize is my experience at Riverside High School had a lot to do with the educators and my coaches and my peers and my students, and I had a lot of fun and I really enjoyed it. But at the end of the day, the reason why I'm up here today, the reason why I've been successful, the reason why I'm back in Painesville Township, why I love this school, I hope you read the little part of my blurb about Savannah Laurie, who I just learned is this incredible athlete, and we got a bunch of people there to cheer her on when she broke the record for points because we gave away free smoothies because I want to give back to the girls basketball program and this incredible young athlete. But the reason why I'm all those things, quite frankly, is because I never believed I wouldn't be, because I was told my entire life by my parents that I was very, very important, very, very smart, very, very good athlete, very, very good singer, all the things. Were they all true? Maybe not. But nobody's going to call me and tell me that it was wrong like that guy called the other gentleman on the SAT. I will continue believing it, and it will probably continue to help me be successful. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to thank you for the nomination, and thank you to Riverside. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Our next nominee is, I shouldn't say nominee, our next inductee is Laurie Sanders Sterling. Laurie came all the way from Texas to be with us, and her mom worked at Riverside as a secretary for a long time, so I knew Laurie for a long time before I actually knew her in school. And unfortunately, she couldn't be here tonight, but that's one of the reasons we're videotaping it so she can see what her daughter has accomplished.
Thank you, Anna. That is a lot of energy. I'm not sure I can follow that. Good evening, y'all, as we say in Texas. I stand here this evening, I'm really humbled and honored to be inducted into the Riverside High School Hall of Fame. I can't tell you how surprised I was to get Marijane Watson's letter in the mail saying I was going to receive this honor. If you can look at the picture of me in the program, you can see it shocked the color right out of my hair. I need to thank my dear friend Frank for nominating me. I probably need some water. Frank and I have known each other a very long time and have taken really good care of our friendship over the past 45 years since we graduated. This is called having wine before you talk. But Frank, I hope you know how much you mean to me, and I'm really touched by this nomination. I need to take a moment, I really need to take hours to thank my wonderful husband, Wayne, who couldn't be with us tonight. He's down in Texas taking care of our dogs and our cat. He's been behind me every step of the way as I've pursued my dreams and goals over the years. I see patients all during the day. And so all these extra things I've done have taken away from my evenings and my weekends. And Wayne has been behind me 100%. I couldn't have done this without him. I'm so thankful to him. I need to thank my parents, my mom, who really wanted to be here tonight, but at 89, it's a lot for her to be here. And my dad, he passed away in June. They weren't always sure where I was going to end up, but I know how proud they are of me, and I'm so thankful I've always had their support. So this recognition holds a really special place in my heart because it not only celebrates my achievements, but it also reconnects me to the foundation that helped create who I am today. And that's Riverside, Paynesville, and my family. You know, I didn't fully appreciate it in high school. In fact, I couldn't wait to leave Paynesville. You know, I wanted out. But now I love coming home to Paynesville and reconnecting with my friends, the people who knew me at my purest, before life's layers of experiences changed how I was perceived and how I present myself. So in Paynesville and Mentor, where we are, I feel really authentic and genuine. I lost my thought. I guess I need to talk about how I got where I am today. I loved going to Riverside. I wasn't in sports. I was a beaverette for one season, and that's about as sporty as I get. I was in band, symphonic and marching, and I accompanied the choir for a couple of years. I know what it says in the program. It says I was an excellent student, but I didn't apply myself in high school, and I didn't really excel as a student. I did have the wonderful opportunity to participate in the last two of David W. Shaner's musicals our sophomore year. And I'll never forget the last evening of his final performance at RHS. Mr. Shaner gathered the cast and the crew together in the gym, and he gave a very heartfelt speech to us. And he ended it with a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson: "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm." To which he added, "plus hard work." I never forgot those words, but they didn't mean a lot to me until much later in life. So I mentioned earlier, my parents weren't always sure where I would end up in life. So fast forward to college. I didn't apply myself there either, but I had a really good time. I graduated from Bowling Green with a bachelor's in radio television production, and then landed a position as a radio news anchor at a rock and roll station with the two guys in Toledo. So my midlife crisis arrived early. Actually, it was an early life crisis. My career in broadcasting wasn't as fulfilling as I'd hoped it would be. Excuse me, sorry. It's probably reflux too at this age. So anyway, my career in broadcasting wasn't as fulfilling as I'd hoped it would be, and I was contemplating going back to school. So I took some career assessments at Bowling Green, and speech pathology matched highest. I mean, who'd have thunk? So before I knew it, I was completing the undergraduate prerequisites, and I'd been accepted into graduate school. And during this time, Mr. Shaner's quote, nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm plus hard work really echoed in my mind. So graduate school was more than just a pursuit of knowledge for me. It also ignited in me my passion for lifelong learning and my desire to help others, my altruism. I applied myself enthusiastically, and I worked hard, and I graduated from Bowling Green with a master's in speech pathology, and I specialized in medical speech pathology with a focus on neurology and swallowing disorders. In 1999, I moved to Houston and joined the staff of Houston Methodist Hospital in the Texas Medical Center. And so at Houston Methodist, my interest in neurology led me to a position on the ALS, that's Lou Gehrig's disease, if any of you are familiar with that, on the ALS clinic team. And the director of neurology and the director of the clinic is Dr. Stanley Appel, and he is world-renowned in his research in ALS. And Dr. Appel, not unlike Mr. Shader, expected the very best of us. And my involvement in that clinic led me to opportunities to speak and present nationally and internationally on speech and swallowing issues in ALS patients. And during this time in Houston, I also became very involved in our association, the American Speech Language Hearing Association, where I've held multiple leadership roles. Most of my work has been primarily in continuing education and professional development as speech language pathologists. I've kind of been a lifelong learner, and so I've always been enthusiastic about expanding my knowledge of my field and sharing it through clinical supervision, mentoring, presentations, and my work with ASHA. So my commitment to clinical service, leadership, and professional development culminated with receiving the honors of the, not the honors, that's even higher than what I have, the fellowship of the association in 2020. Mr. Shaner's quote, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm plus hard work," has been a guiding principle in my life, reminding me that passion fuels progress. I've discovered that my enthusiasm for speech pathology has ignited not only my own creativity and determination, but has also allowed me to inspire others. I've been able to create meaningful connections with other clinicians, make changes, make a difference in countless patients' lives, and achieve milestones in my career, reinforcing my belief, and Mr. Shaner's, that the combination of enthusiasm plus hard work can truly transform lives. Thank you again for this honor. I'm really touched. Sorry, I'm gonna lose it. I wish my dad was here. So I'm so proud to be a part of this legacy and the class of 1980. Hooty hoo!
That's yours. Oh, that's your certificate. Lifelong certificate. Lifelong certificate for membership. You don't have to pay the $25.
I don't have to pay the $25? Steal.
The inductees get a lifetime membership for free. That's what the certificate is inside. You don't have to pay the $25. Well, I think it's time for us to have a man up here. And one of the men that I enjoy meeting and knowing is Anthony Montonini. I see Tony running up and down my street. I live very close to Riverside, and I have a big hill. And when he was running a lot, he used to run up and down that street. He now runs on 84. But I can always tell Tony by his unusual gait. He has lots of friends and relatives and former athletes here to honor him. So Mr. Tony, the other thing that I want to make sure you know about Tony is he's a Vietnam veteran, twice wounded with a Purple Heart and many citations, and so he has done more than his share of service to our country, and I'd like to thank him.
quite a while since I spoke before a fairly large group of people. It's been 18 years since I retired. But I think I still remember what you're supposed to do, so here it goes. First of all, I want to thank the Hall of Fame Committee and those who served on the committees that selected for each category. I also want to thank my wife, who's probably more responsible for me getting elected to this in the hall. She took it upon herself to find out what had to be done, because she asked me one time, she says, because we talked about it before, we saw it in the paper, they're Hall of Fame members. She says, Tony, why aren't you in the Hall of Fame? I said, I don't know. I said, I haven't been nominated. So she said, well, I'm going to find out how that gets done. So she went to the trouble to do that. She got the nomination form. She contacted former students and players who I'd coached over the years. And I told her, I said, you know, if somebody nominates you, they have to know some certain information about what you did. And I said, you know, unless they contact the person themselves, you know, it's pretty tough for people to do. And I'm sure some people weren't even aware of the fact that there was a Hall of Fame that we had. So, you know, who knows better what I did than my wife, who was behind me all the way, always had my back. And I'm eternally grateful for her for doing this for me. I also want to thank some of the special people that are here, including my family, my two sons, Matthew, Greg, not Gary, Leanne, my daughter-in-law Faith, my son-in-law Jason, my grandson Vinny, and my granddaughter Olivia. Two of my granddaughters couldn't make it. One's at Ohio Northern, and the other one had prior engagements. So, also, I want to recognize some of my favorite people who came here to support me. Students, student athletes, and girls that played softball for me. Tara, Christy, Joy, Liz, Chelsea Miller, who couldn't be here. She had another engagement. Randy Lips, Dave Herwatsky, Mike Hatton, who is a Marine brother of mine. He was a student. If you ever went in my classroom, there was always a big Marine Corps flag on my bulletin board and a bunch of other stuff. And apparently, maybe that motivated him to join the Marine Corps. Karen Schaefer, her husband John, who's here. Many of these girls played softball for me. I also had many as students. I thank you for being here. It really means a great deal to me. When I first started...
We love you, Coach.
When I first started teaching, I kind of wondered if I would be any good at the job. You do student teaching, and it's hard to tell whether or not you get a grade for it or any impact. And I used to wonder about that for a while. And over a period of time, I would get some feedback from students. As time went on, I would get more and more feedback, and started to think, well, maybe I might be pretty good at this job. But then again, you always have the other side of it. I'll never forget when I was, the one year I was teaching, I had to travel over to Riverside. I taught 8th grade, but they moved me around to different rooms, which of course meant that I left something in every classroom that I was in. I couldn't find the stuff at the time, but I wasn't that organized. But I was teaching a class of 8th graders, not the greatest of students either. And John Weiss was the principal of Riverside at that time. And John used to like to come in unexpectedly and kind of observe your classroom. So he came in, and I was talking about the Oregon Trail with my students. And I'm thinking I want to really make a good impression here, that these kids learn from what I taught them. So I asked a question. I figured just about anybody could answer this question fairly easily. I said to him, I said, what animal or beast of burden was used by the settlers who went on the Oregon Trail to pull the big covered wagons that they used? And this one student who was kind of sitting close to me, he's waving his arm up in the air. I mean, he's really almost fallen out of his seat. And I knew this student from past experiences and didn't really want to call on him. But I figured if he was that eager, I probably should. So I looked at him and said, okay, Chris, what animal did the pioneers use to pull their wagons? And he had this big smile on his face and said, beavers. Now, after he said it, I could picture two beavers with a yoke with their teeth pulling a big covered wagon, and I started laughing. I couldn't help I was laughing so hard, I started tearing up. So I didn't know how big that went over with Mr. Weiss, never said anything about it. And then I used to have my students, when we were covering the War of 1812, I made them memorize the first stanza, because the Star-Spangled Banner really started out as a poem, the defense of Fort McKenrick. And I would have them memorize the first stanza. I said, you should know that. You're Americans, you should know it. And then I would give it to them as an essay question on a test. And then when I was grading the papers, and I saw this time and time again. Many students who probably had never looked at the actual words wrote down Donserly as one word, D-O-N-S-E-R-L-Y, instead of Don's early light. And I can remember writing on papers, there is no such word as Donserly. And a couple months ago, I had a former student, he's a lawyer now, he texted me, he said, Mr. Montonini, the one thing I remember from your class was there is no such word as Donserly. So you have your ups and downs, when you teach, especially when you're teaching 8th grade. Also, I had my son, Greg, when he was in 8th grade, they put him in my U.S. history class. And, there's not too many Montoninis in the school system, so I figured, kids are going to figure it out that, we're related somehow or another. But, and he handled it very well, he really did. I could always count on him to come up with an answer. He loved history, and he knew his history pretty good. And, but what he would do is when the kids were working at their desk, I'd be sitting at my desk doing something, and every night, when he knew the other kids weren't looking, he would make a face or do something to make me laugh, because he knew I would every time we do it. But, so that worked out pretty good. I got to coach my daughter, Leanne, in softball. She played for me. Sometimes that wasn't the best situation. I was probably a lot harder on her than I was on other players, but it worked out because we won a championship in those years. But I also benefited from a great history department. We had a lot of good teachers in our department, and loaded with really good teachers and mentors, and many who either are or will be members of the Hall of Fame also. So in conclusion, I want to say that I am pleased, honored, and humbled to be elected to the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Alison, Tobias, basketball star premier. When I read all of the accolades about her basketball career, I was notably impressed. But as I think I said in the write-up, I got 6 letters, the committee got 6 letters. And when I read them, every single one of the coaches said, Allie's a great athlete, but Allie's an even better person.
I was totally cool with this until they told me I had to speak. So here we go. Oh. All right. So for starters, I'd like to thank Becky Bartholomew. She's the one that nominated me. Bart was my PE teacher. She also was my boss at the outdoor YMCA as a lifeguard. She just always followed me in every sport, always supported me. She couldn't be here today because she's in Ireland, so good for her, you know? Hope she has a big old Guinness. And, you know, speaking of those letters, thanks to my momager back there for getting those letters. I got to read them last night? I don't know. And they were just very touching and very heartwarming. So I appreciate all the kind words from the coaches and the people in my life that wrote those. And then I definitely need to acknowledge that while I'm here because of success in athletics, I didn't play an individual sport, which means I have to thank my teammates, my coaches, you know, from being a small child to, you know, through college. You can't have success as an individual without appreciating everybody around you. And there's actually weirdly a lot of people here who, Mr. Montonini, one of my softball coaches, Suf, my freshman, sophomore year basketball coach, he left me, but it's fine. Just kidding, all love. All love.
Conversation for another later.
Okay, yeah. Mr. Rossman, you know, softball way back in the day, and then, of course, I got a couple teammates here. Anna, you were amazing. I remember being little, we played together. We were in that booth after a game singing the pirate song. Oh, yeah. Like, had nothing to do with basketball, which is even better. Morgan, one of my cross-country teammates, we know I'm not up here for cross-country. Yes. That is well established. My mom made me do something. She said I couldn't go home after school, so I picked cross-country. Amanda, you're gonna get called out. Middle school and softball teammate, you would do anything for me. I'm pretty sure you got a technical because the girl pushed me down, so appreciate you. Here's your flowers. And then of course Stephanie, my BFF, my ride or die. She was my pitcher all through softball, all 4 years, and then she went to Charleston with me as well. I played basketball, but she played softball there. We were roommates. Amazing, love you, appreciate you. So basically this whole letter is a thank you to the people who are important to me. And I'll start also with shout out to my brother Tommy. He's back there. He's about 1.5 years older than me. He never treated me like a little sister. I'm gonna throw that out there. So, which I'm pretty sure is why I'm here today. I got spear tackled many times. I got bashed. I got, it was like another little brother, I think. But it was just really cool because the more I think about it, like, I remember being in 5th grade and he allowed me to play on his, he was in 5th grade, I was in 4th grade, and he allowed me to play on the flag football team with him and his friends, and he didn't care. Like, who wants their little sister tagging along? And then same thing when, you know, he was on a travel AAU team. I was that annoying little sister who wanted to do the ball handling drills. And he never made me feel like, you know, I was a bother in any type of way. So I got to get a lot of credit out there to him. And then my 3 older siblings, Kelly, Michelle, and David. It's your time to shine. I know you've wanted this for a long time. Yep. They're going to take, and they've wanted this credit for all of my athletic successes for a very long time, and I am here to give it to you. And I'm going to tell you why they believe I am standing here today. And it starts with a game called Candyland. So, respectively, they're like 11 to 17 years older than I am. So I'm a child. Right? And Candyland's a game, it's really simple. If you don't know it, it's just a bunch of colors. You know, you turn it's a board game, you turn the card over, you pick your color, you move your little person to that color. And then there's icons, right? If you turn an icon over, there's, the princess. The princess is at the top of the board. If you get the princess, it is gold. You've won. There's no losing after that. But if you get the purple plum, you're going back to the beginning. And they noticed, I don't know if this is nature, nurture, I don't know what really happened, but when little Allie would get the purple plum, excuse my language, but shit would hit the fan. Because that means I lost. There's no coming back from the purple plum. You don't come back, there's no miracle, you just don't win, you lose. It's over. So, as we play this game, they realized this, and they would take that purple plum when I wasn't looking because I was a child, and they would just slide it right where it's my next turn. And they'd watch me flip that purple plum over and lose it. And I lost it every time. So I don't know if I, having trouble losing and do everything in my power to win because of Candyland. We're never gonna know. But here's your time. Thank you. Thank you. And then, of course, I need to thank my parents. You don't, again, kind of how Anna said, you don't realize the support you have until you're older. For you guys to never miss a game, whether it was t-ball, high school, even college. You would drive 4 hours to my college basketball games just for the night, and then after the game, you'd drive another 4 hours back home, and you wouldn't get home till probably 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and then go to the work the next day. I mean, to have that kind of support, there's no way I'd be up here today without that. So, to wrap it all up, what I do have to say is I love my time at Riverside. There is no way I would choose to be anywhere else. If somebody told me today, you could go back today and you could choose anywhere you want to go, and you could choose this place and you win a high school, state championship, I would still say no. I loved every part of the Riverside community and being a Riverside athlete, and I'm honored. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and go Beavers.
That the next inductee is noted for his long-windedness. One thing that most of you probably do not know, Pat is the only coach at Riverside that ever coached a German exchange student who had never seen a football in his life, had him play football what was his senior year when they won the championship, and got him in enough quarters so that he earned his varsity letter, which meant amazing things to him, and he could go back to Germany and prove this. And the best part of that was he was a champion swimmer, and that year, all the football players would come to the swim meets to watch Marcus set every school record that year. So thank you for that. And I'll be present.
First of all, Marijane was so excited that I was nominated and I accepted this great honor. But then she realized that I had to talk. So, talk about Marcus real quick. Marcus was an excellent student, excellent person. I taught world history at Auburn Road Junior High School, and I had him come over. Anytime I had a foreign exchange student, I would have them talk to the class, talk about their homeland and so forth. And also, I had Marcus, even though he wasn't one of my students, he was one of my athletes. So he came over when I was teaching a unit on Nazism. And you know, the pictures of Auschwitz, posters, everything was up there on the bulletin board. And he came in, and when he came in, he immediately looked at that bulletin board. And I felt sick. I can cry with the best of them. But anyways, he started talking, and what he did was turn everything around. He goes, you know, this is what people know about Germany. But he goes, let me tell you what Germany is. And that was awesome. So, that's Marcus. Anyways, I haven't had butterflies in a while till tonight. And I want to start off, first of all, by thanking the committee. I want to thank Kelly Bell. She's the one who nominated me. And, you know, like Tony mentioned, and Kathy, you know, what do you have to do to get nominated? And I thought I kind of blew my chance of ever being here. I left Riverside after 15 years to take a head football coaching position. And I thought, you know, it's never going to happen. And so I come home one night, and there's a letter from Riverside. And I open it up, and there's my nominee letter from Marijane. You had been selected, and I couldn't believe it. You know, I just couldn't believe it. I was so humbled and so excited. And yeah, I got teared up again. But anyways, that night, you know, Ellen, and I'll talk about her in a second, my wife, you know, at supper that night, I said, did you ever think that you'd be cooking dinner for a Hall of Famer tonight? And she goes, have you ever thought of the fact that this Hall of Famer has been cooking you dinner for 10 years since I was selected as an athlete at Euclid, and she was one heck of an athlete, I'm telling you. She had a half ride to Ohio State, very blue-collar family. Ellen, you find the rest of the scholarship to Ohio State, or the rest of the money to go. But anyways, she never fulfilled her dream because she met her dream. We got along great. She liked making babies. So we have 6 awesome kids, 12 great, as an awesome grandchildren, and I couldn't be happier. And you know, I met her in a classy place. You guys probably never heard of this place. It's called Nemeth's. I saw her tiger paws on her jeans, I wondered what her face looked like. It all worked out real nice. But anyways, at this table here, very special table, obviously I have my wife Ellen, my 2 daughters, Morgan and Katie, my son Mason, my daughter Katie's husband David. Okay, I have 4, I want to say 2 of my best friends, and their wives are 2 of my best friends now too. They came out, Melvin came out from Virginia, Greg came from my hometown, Erie, and I couldn't be more happier to have those 2 guys here tonight. We've known each other, been through thick and thin. We call ourselves the council. There's about 7 of us. We used to vote on girlfriends, everything. And they voted unanimously on Ellen, so I said that was good. But that was one vote. If they would have turned her down, I wouldn't have went along with it. Okay. And my 2 sisters, Barb and Liz, are here. And I have a brother, Jim, who could not make it tonight. I'm very appreciative that they're here. And the whole theme of my short presentation tonight is it takes a village to raise a child, and the Riverside community raised me. I can't be more grateful. But I want to go back a little bit in time, talk about my sister Barb, not just like my sister Liz, but my sister Barb kind of raised me. I don't need this. I'm not going to tear up. I just get choked up. But thank you. But anyways, my sister Barb, she kind of raised all of us because my mom worked all the time, and she did a pretty good job, even though I really didn't care for her too much. I tell her when I say my prayers at night, she's always the last one, but at least I put her in there. And so just short story where I was about 5 or 6, I think it was. I learned a new word one morning. My buddy John Gersons, we'd get in a fight every day, but we'd play all day, then we'd just fight each other at night. But anyways, he taught me a new word, and he goes, I heard the worst word ever. And I said, the worst word, what is it? He goes, it starts with the letter F, okay? Starts with the letter F, and I'm not going to say it. And so I said, what's that mean? He goes, I don't know, man, but that's really bad. That's really bad. So we got in a fight at the end of the day, okay? And I called him the F word. And so when I turned around, my sister Barb was there, okay? And I immediately took off. I went upstairs. We lived in a 4-apartment complex, whatever. I ran to my bedroom, jumped on the bed. So did she. She came like, Superwoman, jumping, flying through the air, straddled me, and commenced to slap my face with every syllable. She has a hard right hand and a hard right backhand. She goes, don't you ever say that word again. And so I said, someday, I said, I'm going to be bigger than you, and I'm going to get you. And she goes, you'll never be bigger than me. Barb, stand up. Stand up, Barb. She's 5'1". But anyways, it takes a village. And she was a big part of the village when I grew up. And so are all these people here. They came to support me. I have a great table of the girls' basketball team, and they totally surprised me. Okay, and I know Tracy, where are you at? Tracy Salzbeck. I know you're not Salzbeck anymore. There's Tracy. She was on our first basketball team when I became head coach, and we had a great start. I mean, it was just a great start. Thank you for everything you did. Then we have a table here. When I look around, they're like athletes, okay, but they're also guys I coached with, and as I grew up with them, and with Chuck, though he didn't play for me, his mom was in the stands with Ellen holding my kids during our football games while, Ellen had her hands full, literally. I have the Bucks. The Bucks, raise your hand over there. Okay, her side of the family. And I have, Edsel and Jay Schoolcraft. And just a great supportive family. Another table of athletes, Jeff Center, Jeff Mucha, Jim Carpenter, Scott Peterson, Aaron Goodnow, Greg Pernis, Rob Harvey. Just awesome. And then the guys that taught me and helped me coach along the way. Med Johnson, his wife Debbie, Ray Feaster, John Sangdahl, his wife Lou, Todd Toombs, and his wife Danielle, and Dave Denner. And I tell you, Dave Denner was with me, like from the get-go all the way up, okay, through all the years I was there. And, it started back in, I hate to go back to 1980, but 1980, Edinburgh, I'm gonna start talking faster because I know she got the cane. And at Edinburgh, we'd have an alumni football game. We'd have an alumni football game where the guys that graduated would go back and play the varsity. So I was a tight end all my life. And then my senior year, because I weighed 252 pounds back then, they moved me to offensive tackle. So when it came time for the alumni game, I go, again, it's like the scarlet and gray game, but it's the alumni against the varsity team. I said, good, I can go back to playing tight end. Well, there's a guy, Med Johnson, who went to Edinburgh also, and he's playing tight end, so I got stuck with tackle again. But it was left tackle. Okay, Joe Thomas, well, that's the position I play. Anyways, I talked to this guy, we went down to Uncle Charlie's Pizza and just had some small talk, and that was it, okay, that was it. And so after that, a couple weeks later, there was a placement office, and there were two schools there, Mentor and Riverside. And they were interviewing, and I go, where's Mentor, where's Riverside? I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania, and there's no place like Pennsylvania. I didn't care about Ohio, nothing, okay? Erie was where it was at. And so I said, well, for the experience, I'll go through the interviews. And so I had an interview with Bob Thomas, and I had an interview with Mr. Capitan, I think his name was, from Mentor. And all of a sudden, I got both offers. Okay, first two interviews, got a job at Mentor, got a job at Riverside. Now it's kind of time to pick and choose. And so they were both one-year jobs. Riverside, I had my own classroom, and I had a chance of coaching varsity football. And I said, well, the other one was a teacher on a cart doing junior high school. And Mason, I mentioned you, right? Okay. I saw you back there. I saw you back there on your phone. Okay. I saw you back there on your phone, so. So anyways, I decided to go to Riverside. So I find a place in Fairport. It's a little cottage in the back, right across from the high school. And it was the day that I was going to have an interview with Ray Feaster, who was the head coach. And they said, well, you got to be interviewed by Ray Feaster, the head coach, before anything goes on. I said, okay. So my mom came up with me, she put my curtains up, she made my bed, and I made sure my, towels are folded nice. And so anyways, I called Ray up and I go, Ray, I said, this is Pat McKenrick, and I said, I'm about to come over for the interview. I said, can I ask you something? He goes, yeah. He goes, what? I said, can I bring my mom? He goes, bring your mom? What are you talking about, bring your mom to an interview? I said, hey, I don't know, she doesn't know what Fairport is, and she's in a cottage, just let me bring her. He goes, okay, bring her. So when we got to Ray's house, Bobby passed away sadly a few years back, but Bobby, I entertained my mother, okay, during the time of the interview, and so Ray and I were out on a picnic table. My mom and Bobby were inside, and probably, I don't know, about halfway through the interview, Bobby yells out out the door. She goes, Ray! And Ray, Bobby rose the roost. She did. If you know Bobby, she was in charge. And Bobby says, Ray, your interview's over. And I go, what? And he goes, he's hired. And he goes, what do you mean he's hired? He goes, what do you mean? She goes, I like his mother. And I said, nice, Mom, you came through again. So anyways, I'm hired. Mary goes, hey, the interview's over, you want a beer? So we had a couple beers. And so then from there, I go and, when I had my tour, I went to Auburn Road Junior High School, and who's behind the desk in the front office was Matt Johnson. Okay, I said, Matt, I go, didn't we just, I'm thinking, I had no idea he worked here, and things just happened. Okay, things just happened. And so, Matt and Debbie were a very, very big part of my life growing up. I'm going to say growing up all the way through, but from 80 to 83. I got married in 83. Met Ellen in 82. Got married in 83. But if it wasn't for Matt and for Ray and Tony and Kathy over there, I'm telling you, I wouldn't have survived. My mom would always call me, are you eating enough? I said, Mom, I'm eating enough to take the pain away. We had cabbage and noodles, okay, at Ray's. And I don't know how many ribs, barbecue ribs Kathy made. Tony would just shake his head because I was always eating them out of house and home. Leanne was sitting on my lap, and I'm not gonna have Leanne stand up because she's 2 times taller than my sister. But she sat on my lap. And I don't know how many endless passes I had with Greg and Matt in the backyard, passed football to those guys all the time. But they, like I said, it takes a village to raise a child, and these guys raised me. They made me part of their lives. They fed me all the time. We had lots of fun. Turn it off. It's off. Did you turn it off?
You don't need it anyway.
Try the other one.
He doesn't need a mic.
You just talk louder.
You just talk louder.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Yeah, you just talk.
We're a coach and a teacher, for God's sake. Just talk.
You want me to talk without this?
No. They tried to stop.
Does this come up?
Just hold it. Just hold it. Just hold it.
I'm almost done.
He's so challenged. But we love him.
How's that? Not yet. Don't ruin it. But so anyways, you look at you have Scott Peterson and Aaron Goodnow and Jim Carpenter. They're the class of '81, football class of '80, and I know Jim, you didn't play your senior year, but I tell you what, he's been with me. I mean, from the get-go, we're still great friends, and I couldn't say enough about him. And
Love you, buddy.
thanks, Aaron. We tailgate now. That's the crew that I tailgate with. Aaron, Scott Peterson, Jim Carpenter. What's that?
You're in trouble.
Yeah, I know it. And then Ray. So anyways, we just had the 1984 40th NEC championship reunion, and with that, you had Mike Melnick, who was part of that team. John was a junior, correct, on that team, and it was during homecoming. About 25 guys there. Scott Schaefer was there, and it was such a great time. But we went to the Red Hawk. I haven't closed the bar in a long time. We were there until 2 o'clock. I had 2 beers and I had a sore throat the next day. And Jim Schaefer, we called him Guppy, he would say, he said to me, he goes, Pat, he goes, next time I see you, he goes, I never want to hear you say, to make a long story short. Because my problem is, I take short stories, I make them longer than the long story. But what a great time. It was so nice to see those guys. And in 1984, I was raised defensive coordinator in 1981. But when you talk about people that helped you, You know, Ray helped me so much in football. Donnie Anderson came in. Donnie helped me tremendously. John Warner was like a second father to me. Ben Eulis talked me out of my college girlfriend. So I'm thankful for that. And I know you're thankful too, but I'm really thankful. Okay? And so, you know, and Dave Denner, with what he did, you know, he had fellowship with Christian athletes. I mean, we had such a solid coaching staff that were good people and did a lot of caring for everyone. And you know, in 1984 was my first year being defensive coordinator under Donnie. Our first game was against Harvey. That was the first game I coached. And Donnie says, you can be defensive coordinator, but I'm gonna tell you what, you have to tell me what defense you're calling. You gotta coordinate with Joe Carroll, the secondary coverage, okay, and then you gotta make your call. And I said, I can't do that anymore. I said, Donnie, I got this, you know. It just is the time factor. And we shut out Harvey, and we went on to win the conference championship that year. But as time went on, we had a lot of championships there, had a great time. And I'm taking sport by sport, because I know it's that these girls here, this is a big surprise. When they told me, when Marijane told me, she goes, you know, you have 4 tables of 8 and you have 2 tables of 12. And she goes, you have to figure out all of who's sitting with who. And I said, well, and I told a very big part of this basketball team was my assistant, Eric Sufer. Raise your hand, Eric. Okay. I tell you what, things just kind of fell into place. It was during a football game, and Debbie Holland and Dana Smith came up to me, and I didn't know who they were. Well, I mean, I knew Mike Holland, and I knew who Debbie was and stuff, but I really didn't know them. And they said, Coach, can we talk to you for a second? I go, yeah. I said, what's up? They go, we want you to be our girls basketball coach. I go, what? They go, we want you to be our coach. And I said, well, let me go talk to my boss, you know, and that's Ellen. And so I always run everything by her. But I tell you what, we took over the team in '84 and '85, and with that, we had the best record. Again, Tracy was part of that team. We had the best record in school history for 2 years in a row. We had 2 years of rebuilding. After my 4th year, I sat with John Weiss, which I admire and keep in touch with him still to this day, to the utmost. And after my 4th year, I got my evaluation, and it says needs improvement, needs improvement, needs improvement, needs improvement. And then at the very bottom line was recommended for non-renewal. And I go, what? And he goes, so what do you think about that? I go, I agree. And he goes, you agree? I go, yes, I agree. He goes, you agree not to be renewed. I said, if I'm this bad, why would you want me to coach? I said, seriously, if I'm that bad. But I said, if. Okay, that was the first year coaching with Eric. I believe that was our first year. Because Paul King was my assistant for the first 3 years. So the 4th year, we had a losing season. Eric and I started teaching together at Auburn in 1980 at the same time. And I said, well, they said, you said you shouldn't be rehired. I said, I mean, right. I said, I shouldn't be if I'm that bad. But I said, I'm going to tell you what, no matter who you have, no matter who coaches, you're going to have a winning season next year. I said, if Eric and I are back next year, we win the first championship for the conference the school ever had. And he goes, what? And I said, yeah, we're going to win. I said, there's no doubt we're going to win. But, you know, and Ellen, who was my freshman coach at that time, she had Kelly, she had Jenna, she had Kelly, right? She had Missy Russ, she had, who else was it? Anyways, there's a talented freshman group, okay? And Rhonda, okay? We had Rhonda, Michelle. I took them away from Bev Vandernick, okay? They brought them up as freshmen. And Bev, actually, I felt bad she quit her job, but, you know, these are girls who are going to make it all happen. And long story short, we won the conference championship, okay? and it was the first one. And you know, I did it for 10 years, and as I did it for 10 years, I just know I left it in great hands with Eric. He went on to win another NEC championship. He went on to win 2 PAC championships. And now we're still connected because we work together. And it's just been a great friendship ever since. And then, you know, with football, as I said, we continued. And as we continued to win, you know, I don't want to forget mentioning Todd and Todd Toombs and John Sangdahl. They were just awesome with coaching the secondary. And, you know, as a defensive coordinator, it's all about team. It's all about team. I'm not taking all the credit. We came together, we talked. There were times, you know, we would have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, okay, about our game plan. And I mean, I'm walking out with John. That first year, well, John wasn't on the staff in '84, but there was a year that we coached 7 days. We met with the team 7 times. But John, one time I said, John, he goes, what if they do this, what if they do that? I go, John, we're playing St. John's. I said, if we can't beat them with plan A and B, he goes, I think we need a plan D. I said, John, if we lose, you're the defensive coordinator, I quit, you know? But I just want to thank those guys. They're just tremendous in everything they did. And, you know, and I mean, just, I can't thank you guys enough. I really can't. And then, you know, not to leave the Bucks out, because if it wasn't for, you know, the Buck stops here, I guess. But that's good news, right? But there was so much more I want to talk about, and I do want to mention a couple of things. You know, I did leave Riverside. You know, I was the head girls track coach for the last 2 years when I was there. I stepped down from basketball because I wanted to be able to get my resume and get ready for a head coaching job. And so when I did apply, you know, I applied to Sugar Falls. I was a runner up there. But then Ray had left Riverside. He was at Kirtland. And so I went to, you know, Ray called me. He goes, hey, you want to be head coach? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, I want to step down from Kirtland. He goes, I would like you to, you know, apply for this job. So I became the head coach at Kirtland. But, you know, just to talk about how Riverside had made me what I am. You know, I went to Kirtland, but so did John Lips. He got married that year, and he was coaching for Donnie. And I said, well, he's going to coach for me now. And so John was with me. Mel was on my scouting crew, and Jim Perry, very sadly, with John Warner. John Warner, I know when he retired, he had cancer. I knew he had cancer in '91, and he had told me no matter where I go, he wanted to coach with me. And he says, I want to coach with you until I can't stand anymore. And so he came with me to Kirtland, and so did Ben Mullis, you know, and Ray was on the staff. And I said, Mike Melnick, who scouted for me, well, I got that right now, scouted for me, I was there. And then when John Warner passed away in that '98 season, Jim Perry came in, and Jim Perry, you know, John told me in 2 days, he grabbed my arm, he says, you know what, he goes, I can't stand anymore. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, I'm done coaching. And he died and was buried on the day of the Sugar Falls game, and they were ranked number 8 in the state at that time. And we went and just totally kicked their ass. I mean, we did. We blew them away. So I know I'm rambling, and you know, there's so much more. There's so much more. And there is an hour happy hour, I guess, afterwards. And not anymore, right? Not anymore. I took that hour away. And if I keep talking, it probably won't even be happy. So again.
We love you, Pat.
But no multiple clapping. Jim almost blew it for me back there. I've been known, we don't clap multiple times. We don't do that. And what I want you to do, there's a lot of people here that when I say give yourself 2, they know what that means. And I would like everyone here just to listen carefully. I did this at my 50th high school reunion this year, and it was a success. I had a player from Kirtland who went to Edinburgh, and he was an All-American, and he spent some time with the Jets, and so he was nominated and was elected to the Hall of Fame at Edinburgh, and so after I went to his banquet, we met at the hotel in Edinburgh. If you've ever been to Edinburgh, there's a hotel bar there, and his jersey's hanging up there and everything. And he was dating a girl, and he does conferences and speeches and presentations on how to flip houses. And so he introduced me to his girlfriend. And his girlfriend, she goes, Amy, this is Pat McKenrick, who's my coach. And she goes, oh, nice to meet you. And she took 3 or 4 steps. Then she turned around, she came back, she goes, are you the Pat McKenrick, the creator of Give Yourself 2? And I go, what? And he goes, Coach, this is for real. And so she goes, oh my God, I'm so happy to meet you. And I said, well, hey, give yourself 2. But anyway, so what happens? These aren't the pink bunny rabbit batteries, are they? Burn out 2 batteries. Burn out 2. But anyways, I'm done. Anyways, when he gives his speeches at these in these arenas, he fills them up, and they all multiple clapped one time, and he says, wait a minute, no more multiple clapping. He goes, I want you to give me 2. And they go, what's that? And so she goes, it just sounds so awesome when the whole arena is doing this. And it's something silly. But this is what I want to say. I would like us to give Riverside 2. And when I say the word ready, we clap our hands twice, as loud as you can. Everyone has to do this.
Are we going to do quick counts first?
No, we're not. I don't have the legs for it anymore. Carol, you got to clap your hands twice. Okay, but louder. Okay. So I'm going to say, hey, let's give Riverside 2. Ready? And then we'll clap our hands twice. Okay, here we go. All set? Loosen up. Let's give Riverside 2. Ready? This is icing on the cake.
Here comes the whistle.
Okay, this is icing on the cake, being inducted into this Hall of Fame. And again, I want to thank you. Tony, I wanted to say more, but I'm getting the cane almost. Okay. We painted together. I know country songs I used to sing to that guy. They want me to give you a whistle because that's how I get a hold of everyone. When my teams are on the court, teams are on the field. But I don't know if I'm as good as I once was. But I'm hoping I'm good once as I ever was. Okay. But it was louder. And my kids, I whistle and they just turn their heads. I whistle, these guys still turn their heads. But that's how I got their attention. And Mary Jane, for your patience. This is for you.
We're going to end
Hey, listen.
We're going to end the evening with singing of the Alma Mater. Laurie and Carol Benroth are going to lead us.
The class of 80.
The class of 80 is going to lead us. And the words are on the back of the program.
Who volunteered us? Yep, they're game. Who volunteered us for this?
Come on, Frank. Come on, Frank.
I'm here, but I got a wrong camera too.
No, we were voluntold.
We love the halls of ivy that surround us here today, and we will not forget though we be far, far